Hi everyone. Alright, I've got my Ridgid 18 volt 12-inch chainsaw right here. No battery in it at the moment. I've been using this for quite a while up in the woods and doing some sawing with it as far as, as a smaller saw to carry around. No issues really with the 12-inch blade. As you can see, pretty well used. But I really want to know if this can use a slightly larger blade. Now the reason why is not because I want to be able to cut 16-inch pieces of wood. This is a 16-inch blade right here. But really what I want to be able to do is not bend down quite as far if I'm limbing something, which is really what I'm sort of using this for. So I'm going to sort of take this apart. We're going to try out this Oregon bar and chain. It looks like this should work. I saw some other people using some different ones, I think from a different company than Oregon. But, I really wanted to try that out. But first off, I did want to kind of give a little bit of a talk about this saw and why I bought this saw and why I really do like having a smaller saw like this in my lineup. Normally I'm visiting relatives, they've got larger saws, they wanted something that I could use to sort of do some limbing and some minor cutting while they were using the big gas saws to really chop down the trees. So with that, I do like the fact that it is 12 inches as far as a smaller saw and that there's a cover for it. As I said, I do wish I didn't have to bend down as far, which is why we're going to try this 16-inch, but for a lot of people, I think this will work great. Now, I like the fact that the brake on this is really robust. It stops the saw immediately and works really well. Easy to fill reservoir. I took the little tool out of the bottom. This actually fits really snugly in here, but I will say this is one of the things I don't like is that it has this, I don't know if you can see it in there, this little pad that's supposed to sort of catch and hold it in place. Well, mine just seems to pop out every time. I'm not sure why they designed it that way, but it's not really, it doesn't fit quite right. And it just wants to pop out once I took it out the first couple times. So I don't know if it needs to wear back in so I can get this to sit in there, but it just, no matter what I do, it just seems to want to pop out. Like it doesn't matter how I put pressure on it, it just seems to want to always pop out. It just can't get past that initial form of resistance. Now, also it's got your hook down here. Now, one of the things I don't like about this also, I do like the fact that, just so you can see here, I've got a 8 amp hour battery. Slides in perfectly. Looks like it's got a little bit of space here at the bottom. I'm not sure if you can see, but I can put my finger in there. And I was like, all right, that's great, because right after they came out with those, they came out with these big 12 amp hour batteries. And I was like, this is perfect. And it is too big by about 2 or 3 millimeters. Like, why would you design this saw? Like, if you'd added just a little bit to the end, this fits in there. And this is a great battery for this saw. I mean, you really want as much power as you can. You want it to be out there in the woods as long as you can. You don't want to switch batteries. Like, they're gonna have to release another one. They're gonna have to release another saw. That might be one reason that you don't want to buy this saw now, simply because it doesn't fit these 12 amp hour batteries. This was very disappointed that I couldn't get these in here. So that's one of the things I do want to say. Now, as far as some of the older batteries, I've got a 3 amp hour Octane battery. That fits in there just fine as well. So your 6s, and I don't know about the 9s. If the 9s are as big as this, they may not fit. I don't happen to have a 9 on me, but these fit just fine. And then also, just so you can see, the current max output, 6 amp hours, no problem as well. So they all fit really well in here. And I'm just surprised that they did not make the 12 amp hour fit. So that's one of the things I am going to complain about this saw, is that this 12 amp hour battery not being able to fit is sort of ridiculous when they are a brand new battery. This sort of, I think this came out, maybe 6 months to a year beforehand. Like, that battery should have known that it wasn't going to fit in here. So with that, let me get down to what I really want to talk about in this video, and that is trying to switch this off. And I know I've got it pointed towards me here. I'll flip it around here. But I really want to take off this blade, and I want to see if I can put this Oregon blade on here that's a little bit longer, as you can see. So let's open this. Let me open this up. I'll be right back. I'm going to open up this thing. We're going to try to start switching this out. All right, here we go. We're back. I took off the Ridgid bar right here. As you can see, it's much smaller. You got an extra 4 inches right here for the 16-inch bar. So the question is will this fit on and will this be able to turn? So as I said, I saw some other people with some different brands, but the same stats. And actually, let me just zoom in on this right here for you. You can see right here. This is the one that I bought here. So this is a 56 link, 3/8 inch, and 0.43 or 1.1 millimeter. So this is the one that I bought, Oregon. This is available at the Home Depot, I believe. I don't think we can see that. There we go. And it's supposed to match the pattern on this 12-inch Ridgid blade. So, and these look very similar as far as the the width as well, so like how wide the blade is, I felt. So all right, so let's go ahead and try to put this on here. I don't do this very often. I don't have I'm not a chainsaw person normally. In fact, I don't really have that many trees even in my yard. And the real reason why I got this is for when I go up to visit my uncle. Can help him out because he's the guy that does the main chainsawing, and I sort of do the limbing and kind of capture up a little bit. Now I will say the chain seems a bit tight right now, but I know that chains are supposed to loosen up as you sort of go. So let me just see here. All right, let's try this a different way here. As I said, I don't do this very often. We put this on first, kind of back there all the way into the bar, and then we'll put this on this way here. And for those of you that are watching, if I'm doing something wrong, you can feel free to correct me. I'm very new to this. I don't really work with chainsaws very often. I just wanted something a little bit longer so that way I don't have to bend down quite as much when I'm chainsawing. And I know I could buy a different saw, but I really like Ridgid's equipment. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to work. Let's see here. I feel like there's a little bit of give in here that I need. If these teeth were all in here, maybe that'd be a little bit easier. I just realized I'm a little bit off camera here. Here we go. That feels like that just barely fits. I don't have any way to tighten this or loosen it up here. Feels like it's just slightly off. If I had another few millimeters here, I'd be able to get it on. Let's try this a different way here. Let's take this off of here. Put this bar on like that. Let's put the chain on the back and do it that way. Trying to get the chain in the lined up properly now. Here we go. I think this might work a little better. This might work. Or we're just going to be slightly off again. I don't have a good way to really loosen the chain, but it looks like it would work if I could just get it a little bit looser here. Maybe if I rotate, pop the brake here so I can rotate maybe. Can I rotate it? Maybe I should put it in the other side then. As I said, I don't do this very often. This is actually the first time I've really, other than maybe setting it up originally, I think I took the chain off to check it. Feels like it's binding up here. By the way, when you're doing anything like this, make sure it's batteries off, or out I should say. Don't do this with it being live. Almost got it. So I'm not sure you can see here. Oh, I'm working on the end where you can't really see. Let's see if I rotate this on here. So I've got just a little bit. If I had a little bit more room, I'd be able to get it on. I feel like the chain needs to be stretched just a slight bit if I had some way to do that. Maybe we can just use this tool to kind of pop it on there. You can see right over here, I've got that, it's just a few millimeters off. There we go. There we go. We got it on. I just needed to kind of wedge a little bit. And now what I can do, I can put this piece on right here. Of course, I should put it on correctly. Actually, let me just make sure. It looks like the weep hole lines up with this hole right here, so it looks like that's good as well. So it looks like this is going to work. Clean that out a little bit. It's pretty dirty. Look at that. Oh, something's not lining up right. Oh, you know what it is? This piece right here is not lining up with the adjustment bar right there. So let's just see. So what I'm doing right now is I'm adjusting this little screw in the bottom. I think I'm going the right way right now. Bringing it back to line up with hopefully this hole right here on the blade. And that way we can make this, we can adjust this properly. Looks like that's back all the way. There we go. We're good now. It's in. We can go ahead and tighten this up. As I said, I haven't done this before with a new blade. I'm not a chainsaw person by any stretch of the imagination. But I am going to make sure that this is nicely tightened. At least somewhat tightened right now, because I also want to be able to move this now back out. Because you can see this is pretty loose right now. We don't want it that loose. So we're going to tighten this up. And then of course, for anybody that's new to these like I was, the one thing that you hear constantly is that these will loosen up the first time you use them. So you got to, so right now it's a little bit too tight. There we go. Pull that first row of teeth out is what I've been told from all the videos I've watched. And I'm going to tighten this down. So it took a little bit of finagling. I was able to get it on. I'm going to tighten these down pretty tight. These are going to loosen up as it goes, and I'm going to have to probably tighten this again at that point. But look at that, we got a 12-inch, or I'm sorry, we took off the 12-inch bar, we put on the 16-inch bar. Now, last thing to do, test it out. And I've got a tree outside, I got a Christmas tree that we're going to cut up and burn. And it's a perfect test for something like this. I'm not looking to cut something, as I said, that's this entire length. I'm really looking for just the fact that I don't have to bend down to that wrong angle for me with the 12-inch blade, where I feel like I'm putting a lot of pressure on my back and I came back with a sore back. So first thing first though, let's put a battery in it and just see if this works. I'm just going to grab the 6 amp hour right here. So right now, not working because I put the bar. I'm going to pull that back. Let's just see here. And it looks like that sounds pretty good. It looks like it's working pretty well. So again, this 16-inch bar, let's go test it outside. All right, one last thing before we go outside here. I am going to use the 8 amp hour battery in here, which I've got in. Also, I did check, it does have bar oil in it, and I always double check to make sure before I use it, but I use this DeWalt biodegradable, and I use that because of the fact that I've been in some forested areas that require that when I've worked with the Scouts as well. So, but look at this. I just also want to show this right here. This is the cover that goes on the Ridgid 12-inch saw. So you can see you've got quite a bit more saw here to work with, but also just a few inches more reach, which, as I said, I'm hoping is really going to help me be able to not lean down quite as much. Also, when you're doing this, I know that I will have all my safety protection gear on. I will have my chainsaw pants. I will have gloves on. I don't have them on yet, but I will have my gloves on, and I will also have eye protection. Highly recommend you have those things, okay? As we go outside here, I'm going to have all my safety protection on, including steel-toed boots. You just don't want to make a mistake, and it can happen in a second. I know some people like to sort of poo-poo that stuff, but I really believe in safety. And especially when working with something that can easily just slice open your leg or your hand or your arm, you really want to have the good protection gear on. So with that, now we will really head outside. All right, so we're outside now, and got my chainsaw, got the battery in there. I've got my chainsaw pants on, steel-toed boots, gloves, and my goggles, or glasses in this case, if you can see them. I don't have the full face mask for wood chips and everything. I don't feel I quite need that, but that is something that you probably should wear if you're out in the woods, especially or working with larger trees. As you can see, this one's not too big of a tree right here. But the first thing I want to try is, well, let's just get this going first. So there we go. It does work. It's already starting to loosen up a little bit on the chain. And let's go ahead and take off a couple of these limbs. Now this is the real reason why I wanted this longer bar, because when I'm reaching down, I didn't want it to be like this. And this one, it's just a little bit less of a reach. So there we go. Got some of the branches off. And that actually makes it a lot easier for me. I'm not leaning over quite as much. So instead of me being hunched over, trying to cut because it's really short, I can kind of stay upright a little bit more, make it a little bit easier on myself. Now, as far as the cutting, let's just see how this does with this right here. So, I really should be behind it here. Now I can't cut upward because this tree is just going to move with me. It's too light for that, and I'm not anchoring it down. But as you can see, it cut through that no problem. And there's one other thing I do want to try here. I have done this with the other blade. I just want to check. It's starting to really loosen up here. But I want to see if I can do some noodling. I mean, look at this. And this is great for making, for camping and stuff, to try to make fire starters out of. Nice big flakes like that. So overall, working just fine. And now I can cut up the rest of this tree to get it ready to go into a fire here. Oh, got some tinsel on there. I don't want to burn that really. So. more there. And now we're kind of getting down to the end here. I think that's all I'm going to be able to do with the chainsaw today. But that worked out really well. So this Oregon 16-inch blade fits on the Ridgid. Works pretty well. And I highly recommend that as an upgrade if you're looking for something a little longer. You know, not to get more length, but to be able to get more, not length for logs, but length for reach. So anyhow, worked really well. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I know people are going to have corrections about what I did. Perfectly fine. I'm still new at this. This is my first chainsaw. I've helped my uncle, but he's always done the chainsawing with me when I've gone up to visit him. So I'm starting to help him out, and I really feel I should be learning more about this. So comments are appreciated, and I'll eventually probably be using his ones up there. This is really just for me to walk around and follow behind him. So thank you for watching, and again, please leave some comments down below.